The Galactic Council chambers hummed with tension as Ambassador Blake stepped forward, his weathered face betraying no emotion. Around him, holographic displays showed the devastation, floating debris fields where once proud enemy fleets had roamed and smoking craters marking the final resting places of invading forces on Earth's surface. The motion to classify Earth as a death world of Class Omega has been moved to the floor, announced the Council's primary speaker, its synthesized voice echoing through the vast chamber. All in favor? 412 civilizations voted. In unison, the decision was unanimous. Blake nodded slowly. It had been a long journey to this moment, longer than the 5 years of brutal warfare that had brought humanity to the Council's attention, longer than the initial contact that had gone so catastrophically wrong. Ambassador, the speaker continued, your species has demonstrated unprecedented resilience and adaptability. Earth shall be marked as a death world, and all further contact attempts are hereby prohibited. Any civilization attempting to approach your system will be warned away or face consequences. The chamber fell silent as Blake prepared his response. He had rehearsed this moment countless times, yet now the words felt heavy on his tongue. Behalf of humanity, we accept the Council's classification, he said, his voice carrying across the chamber without technological aid, another trait that unnerved the assembled delegates. However, we must address the consequences of this decision and what led us here. The first envoys had landed on Earth with peaceful intentions, or so their records claimed. Humanity had been overjoyed at first contact, welcoming the representatives from the stars with celebrations that lasted weeks. But cultural misunderstandings and biological incompatibilities had quickly spiraled into violence. The aliens, the collective as they called themselves, had vastly underestimated Earth's adaptive potential. When diplomacy failed and the first shots were fired, they expected a quick subjugation. Instead, they found themselves locked in an attrition war with a species that seemed to grow stronger with each setback. Blake continued, for 5 years, humanity fought not just for survival but for the right to exist among the stars. We lost 37% of our population. Major cities were reduced to rubble. Our oceans were poisoned, our skies darkened by the debris of 1,000 battles fought in our atmosphere. The holographic displays shifted, showing before and after images of Earth. Once blue oceans now swirled with dark patches. Continents bore massive scars where orbital bombardments had carved new valleys. The northern ice caps had completely melted, and vast regions that once teemed with life were now barren wastelands. But we survived, Blake said, steel creeping into his voice. More than survived. We adapted. Your forces brought weapons designed to exploit our biology, our psychology, our social structures. Each weapon taught us something new about ourselves. Each attack forced us to evolve, to overcome limitations we didn't know we had. The chamber stirred uncomfortably. Some delegates shifted in their environmental suits, others adjusted their translation matrices. None met Blake's gaze. Lieutenant. General Kane stood beside Blake, her cybernetic arm, a replacement after losing the original in the Battle of New York, whirring softly as she accessed her datapad. By the war's end, human soldiers could operate in environments that would kill most collective species within minutes. Our children, born during the conflict, showed immunity to toxins that had been used against us. Our technology evolved at a rate that defied your models. Yes, interjected a delegate from the Trin sector, its 6 eyes blinking in sequence. You adapted. You survived. But look at what you've become. Blake knew what the delegate meant. The changes weren't just technological. Human psychology had shifted, hardened by years of constant threat. The global government had become militaristic by necessity. Privacy was a concept from the past. Every citizen was trained in basic combat and survival. Birth rates had plummeted even as genetic enhancement became standard. We became what we needed to become, Blake replied. The question isn't what we've become, but what you've created. The room fell silent again. The truth hung heavy in the air. The collective had awakened something in humanity that might have remained dormant for generations or even centuries. First contact could have gone differently. Should have gone differently. The war is over, Blake continued. Your remaining forces have withdrawn. Earth is left scarred but standing. And now you offer us isolation as a prize, calling it protection for others from us. It is protection, the speaker replied. For both parties, humanity has proven too dangerous, too unpredictable. Other species fear you now. Blake allowed himself a bitter smile. And we fear ourselves sometimes. But isolation solves nothing. We've earned our place among the stars through blood and sacrifice. We ask not for special treatment, but for the same opportunities given to any sentient species, to learn, to grow, to contribute. The decision stands, the speaker declared. Earth shall be designated a death world. Contact restrictions are final. As Blake's holographic presence flickered and faded from the council chambers, he transmitted one final message. Know this, humanity chose survival over surrender, adaptation over annihilation. We didn't seek this title, but we'll bear it with the same determination that saw us through 5 years of hell. Earth stands alone, but Earth still stands. Back on the scarred homeworld, humanity looked to the stars with different eyes now. They had earned respect through warfare, achieved recognition through destruction. The price had been steep, too steep, many whispered in the ruins of what once was. But as the first post-war generation was born under alien-touched skies, one question echoed through the bunkers and settlement domes. Had Earth truly won, or had humanity simply survived long enough to become the very thing the galaxy feared? Time would tell. Earth would endure. And the stars would watch from a carefully maintained distance, wondering if isolation would contain what they had unleashed, or merely give it time to grow stronger in the darkness between the worlds.